Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat, and welcome back to Let Us Play. I'm your host, Father Evan. It's good to be back with y'all for another Retro Tuesday doing some more Minecraft. Should be fun. And it's exciting, too, because I was looking at our numbers. We are 9 people away from doing the 200 follower bonus stream, so go tell your friends if you haven't already. But yeah, so we're going to dive into Minecraft. This is going to be the last Minecraft stream for a few months, but don't worry, it will always be back. And, also, it's the last stream of Lent, which is wild, but exciting, so. But let's go ahead. Let's dive back into Minecraft. God. It was lagging there for a moment. So, how's everyone doing today? Hey, Clutch. Yeah, with that ball strip. Well, you gotta represent it, right? So what was I thinking? Right. I want to go to the desert because we need more sand and whatnot. And I found a desert. I did some exploring. We're going to keep working on the church. Good to see you, Kit. But first, we're going to make some diamond tools to take out that way. I'm going to take a bed with me as well, just to be safe. Anything? Oh, extra food. Do I have any extra food? One random carrot is not extra food. You're making hot cross buns. Nice. Sounds tasty. Sounds like you're getting ready for Easter. Well, we have one piece of salmon. We can carve up some more melons, I guess. There we go, 24 melons. That's a good amount. So, where this is, if you remember where Step Zero's base is, relative to the church, a little bit, making them with currants and nut raisins. Ooh, that sounds even better. But yeah, if we follow the shape of the church, we arrive at Step Zero's base, and just beyond the water, on the other side of Step Zero's base, is a desert. Which will be good because we need a lot of sand and sandstone because we need to make glass and other things. Oh, also I had another thought on the church. I'm thinking of giving it 2 bell towers at the front, but making them shaped kind of like Sagrada Familia's. I used to not like Sagrada Familia's architecture, but I saw some work of it in its more completed state, and it's actually grown on me. So I was kind of thinking giving it 2 sort of conical bell towers on each side here at the entrance. It's grown on you too, Clutch? It is an interesting piece. I do appreciate sort of the story behind it is absolutely fascinating. Okay, so that's all of that. But yeah, this smooth sandstone, I really think this, along with stripped birchwood, is going to make a really cool look. Oh, and the other thing I did, I mapped out... you'll see all this cobblestone here. Do this and create inspector. No! Wrong button. I didn't think highly of it until you visit it. That's what I've heard, is that like once you visit it, especially the light. I do love the interior, the way the light catches everything. Oh, it integrates well. That's cool. So this is kind of what I'm thinking for the profile of the church. So it's kind of like a slight S shape up along the main apse, and then a very tall, high or not apse, but very high, tall nave, and then flying buttresses on the side. So it's going to kind of be sort of squat on the sides and then come up to a peak. is what I'm thinking right now. So that's there is mostly placeholder. Because for right now, we need to go decimate a desert. So we've got a little of St. Peter's, a little of Sagrada Familia, a little of Notre Dame going on in this church. It's kind of got an interesting mix, but I think it'll come together. And this is why I made a boat. So we're going to be passing underneath Step Zero's monastery. And if we just keep going this way, first of all, we're going to pass by a coral reef, which is really stunning. And then we come into a desert that also has a little bit of jungle in it. No, I did not Roteda yesterday. No one ever Roteda'd yesterday. Let's go to the other side of this forest. Ah, there we go. There's some Roteda. Can we get some Roteda emotes in chat? So, obviously it's Holy Week. You know, we're getting ready for literally the high holy days of the church. And the Gospels of this week are chosen to sort of narratively prepare us for that. Traditionally, tomorrow is known as Spy Wednesday. And that's the day, it commemorates the day that Judas betrayed Christ. So today's gospel is kind of setting the stage as to why, and that's something John does. He tries to get into the psychology of the players in the gospel, and he goes out of his way to kind of talk about how Judas was a bit of a miser in his mind, kind of giving a reason as to why he accepted the money for betraying Christ. And so I think it's just really the church gives us this opportunity to really just, in a way of what's known as anamnesis, and I'll come back to that word in a moment, just enter into this story and live it out for the week. So it's not just a singular event. But anamnesis is a Greek word. It means unforgetting, and it's literally, it's more apropos to say reliving, remembering, because it's not just like oh yeah, that happened, but it's a sense of metaphysically being present to the past. And we do that every time at the Eucharist, but the Greeks use that as a word to describe theologically that sense of being present temporally, both now and in the past and in the future, with both the historical events and the eventual coming of Christ. And we get to live that out in a very special way through Holy Week. Oh, look, another coral reef. They're very pretty. I like how they designed them. That was a scream of no. That is also fair, but you know, if no one asks. Not happening to... No, we took care of that nice and early. I guess folks were just too excited by the Star Wars. No, I'm going to do it this way, actually. Why am I doing this by layers? I'm going to just go down to the sandstone layer and then let gravity bring the regular sand to me. Like this. This is so fun when you have an efficiency 4 or 5 shovel, because you just kind of point it at the sand and all the sand disappears. How did Star Wars go? It was good. It was a good start to the adventures of Carth Devon. So I'm looking forward to playing more of that game. And this is why we brought a bed. How could they be excited without Lego? The mind wobbles. I mean, that's fair. I don't want to leave too many floating blocks because that can confuse the server and cause lag. Now, the nice thing is, I don't have to turn all of this loose sand into glass. I can turn it into sandstone, because you can take 4 sand to make 1 sandstone. So it's not the most efficient, but it is still another way that we can get more sandstone. So then we can put it in this furnace and turn it into smooth sandstone. Oh, okay, we're going to need lots of building materials. This is usually how my Minecraft projects go, is I pick a palette, and I'm really excited about it, and then I realize I've chosen a palette of rare blocks, or hard-to-make blocks, or some such like that, and I realize, oh, I've just made this more difficult for myself, and I keep going! It's kind of like how on Jens's server I've decided to make the apsis of my church out of lapis lazuli. Your hot cross buns deflated when you cut them before cooking. Maybe overproofed. Yeah, that sounds like it, unfortunately. But the good news is, they'll still be tasty. Tasty, tasty pancakes. Sounds good to me. I'm a fan of pancakes. In fact, when I have a kitchen available to me, pancakes tend to be my go-to for what I make for myself for breakfast on my day off, especially with chocolate chips. Savory crepes and pancakes over sweet ones don't at you. I'm afraid I do disagree. I do enjoy a good savory crepe. Don't get me wrong. You know, good ham and brie. But honestly, chocolate? I mean, chocolate? Ooh, strawberries and blackberries with whipped cream. Now I'm hungry. And the worst part is I gave up sweets for Lent, so talking about sweets is only making it harder. Only have a little more to go. Crepes with mushrooms, chicken, and ham and cheese. It's probably your downfall. You fool, you have told me your weakness. Now I know how to take you down. I make a decent crepe. I wouldn't say amazing, but, you know, perfectly serviceable. I once made some really nice crepes with like a... What I did is I diced up apples, I tossed it with apple pie spices, and I just sauteed it in water in a pan for a little bit just to kind of cook it. It was an apple pie crepe. It was fantastic. Put a little whipped cream in there. Okay, let's take stock of our inventory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7.5-ish stacks of sandstone. That seems pretty good to start with for now. So let's head on back to the base so we can start cooking this. Your mother, who is French, she does the hint of orange blossom water. Ooh. That does sound good. Let's do a little snorkeling. So pretty. You did forget to do that yesterday, Step Zero. And we've actually already done it today. But I'll give you the brief recap. It's, you know, just the Gospels are being set up very sort of narratively just to prepare us for Holy Week. And so this is kind of John's psychologizing. Also, we're passing right under your Abbey of why Judas betrayed Christ. I am where I need to be. Yep. Also, I found the desert you were looking for. It's literally just beyond your base. I'm now beginning the process of strip mining it. Ah, you found it and you were going to give me directions. Well, in absence of the directions, I found it nonetheless. I found it, Seymour, despite your directions. How you doing today, Step Zero? Need to fill all this in with dirt. Don't feel like doing that right now. Hey, K-Max! Thank you for the raid. Welcome, raiders. If you don't know me, my name is Father Evan. I'm a Paulist priest. I enjoy streaming here on Twitch. So good to have y'all. Good to have y'all. K-Max still has no raid message. That's fair. That's fair. Hey, Ms. Zookmine. Good to see you. Good to see you, Trekkie for Christ. How's everyone doing today? So, hold on. I got a thing. And now I've got my headphone cable stuck under my chair. There we go. How was Octopath Traveler? Be here about 10 minutes as prepped bike ride. Welcome for the shout out. Trying to be more intentional about doing those when I get raids. Aha, I see the other problem. We need coal. This, however, is a solvable problem. It's a beautiful game, nice story. Start chopping trees, make charcoal more sustainable. Is it though? Also, I still need some fire source to start it. I do have coal back at the base. I just have to go get it. Like, yes, I guess it is. Perfectly normal human noises. Well, yeah, you can always grow more trees, but it's really slow because it's like one log for a piece of charcoal. And you've got to spend the time to turn the wood into charcoal. I will do it. For varying values of normal. Yeah, exactly. Oh look, it's the Rotda sign again. It is, and it's still upside down. I don't have a ton of charcoal. Or coal, I should say. But it's not zero. Drop the boat off. Oh, look, I already had a boat. Oh, well. We can return the bed. I found the church base the other day and I wasn't sure where to head from there. So if you're looking at what will be the door of the church to the altar, head to the right. I don't know what direction that is, cardinally speaking. North. Head north. Yet my other right. No, the up. But if you head north, you'll eventually see the door to darkness. So for those just joining us, our main project right now is to construct this church. This is the general layout of what the ceiling will look like. This is the height of the main rotunda, where we'll put a dome on top, because I love domes. And then the sandstone is the general pattern of where the church will be. Domes are cool. But in order to do that, we need to make a lot of smooth sandstone. We're gonna chop down these trees, which is my sustainable growth forest. Because we also are gonna need stripped birch logs as the accent piece. Chop down these trees, Mr. Gorbachev. What? Chop down these trees. You don't want to do anything about the wall? No! Get rid of these trees. It makes the wall look bad. Start replacing the trees again. With a little extra growth thrown in for fun. Just a little extra growth. After all, why should I? I deserve it. I deserve to grow these trees. Let's take that out of there for now. And take that out of there for now. So we're going to take these. Kind of want to figure out where my windows are going to go. Because what I'm thinking is the stripped birch log is going to go up kind of on the side to be both a pillar of support visually and break it up and hold the stained glass. But I need to figure out at what frequency I want those to go in. I guess for now, I definitely don't want it to start at eye level. It should be at least one above eye level, so I can at least throw this down, I guess. So, oh, and the tip of this, the top of this archway is going to meet up with the base of that rotunda. So it's probably going to create, since it's going to kind of come down, we'll have kind of a interior curved space. There's a word for that, like where a dome and a wall meet, and there's like the tri-point interior curve. I don't remember what it is. I remember looking that up for another domed project I did in Minecraft. Come on. There we go. I can actually throw those in there for now. And then I want to throw... Let's start making more charcoal. So yeah, so I guess... if I want to make windows... how frequent do I want to make them? How long is this wall?
It's the tri-state area, Barry the Platypus.
I don't think it's quite called that, but good effort, good effort. It's 59. Why does it have to be an odd number? Maybe we won't start quite right away here. What I'm thinking is maybe giving it some space so that when you enter... So what we do is we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That way the spacing of the windows is an invitation to move inward. We're all a bit odd here. Yeah. 59 is prime. That is true. It's deeply... I have confounded myself, and I'm not going to extend it out to 60. Nay, I say. But I'm thinking each window panel can be like 2 wide. So maybe we could do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay. 1 too early on that. Okay, that works. So that would give us, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows, and then we could have just a birch pillar sort of help terminate it here. Of course, the other thing I'm thinking of, because why would I make this easy, is actually putting the birch kind of on the outside. On each side. Thus creating kind of a texture. A prime example of building, yes. But just so it's not just one flat wall. I like the idea of it coming out one. I should have spaced these here from the get-go, but you know, we live here now. I'm not going to do it on this side yet. I need to raise the ground level. So, but yeah, that'll give it kind of a bit of a texture on the inside and the outside. And then what I'm thinking is the flying buttresses can actually meet up with the birch pillars. So like where this one is would line up here, but vertically. So let's get some sandstone cooking. So that's 4 furnaces making that, and 1 furnace making some more charcoal, which is perfect. Because the birch trees are still growing in. Do I have scaffolding here? Yeah, okay, good. Because we'll need that. What does sandstone cook into? It turns into smooth sandstone, which is what this is. Which does look a little bit like sand right up until you put the two next to each other. Because smooth sandstone's way less busy in its texture. Open 6 more Pokemon Pats real quick since they arrived in the mail. It already got a hit. Nice. Ah, the joy of cracking packs. Did you get Pikachu? I hope you got Pikachu. I need to remove these. You love cracking packs. Singles are more affordable, less fun. Yeah. I know sometimes, as a Magic player, sometimes you're like, oh, you should just buy singles. And I'm like, yeah, but opening packs is also fun. Haha, dopamine go burr. You got Iron Crown EX. Integral for future decks at the moment, so I'm fine with it. Alright, I have no idea what an Iron Crown EX is. I have not played Pokemon since, like, Fossil or whatever, like, way back in the day. Okay, so wanna lower this down. Iron Crown's a future version of Gen 5 Pokemon. So all your future Pokemon do plus 20 damage, so pretty nifty. Oh, okay, so that's like future Pokemon from like... Oh, what was even that most recent Pokemon? How does that not feel like it lines up? No, I guess that's just where it lives, in the corner. Scarlet and Violet, yep. Maybe I'll do a wall. Because kind of want to, like... So there'll be this pillar here inside the rotunda, giving kind of a little channel to circle round, avoiding the sanctuary space. Yeah, I thought the future Pokemon thing at the end of Scarlet and Violet was an interesting twist. Probably buy some singles online tonight, admittedly. It's been a year since the original Scarlet and Violet set dropped, so it's gone down in price. That's nice. You just want Megas back? Oh, I will take your word for it. Need to start making some more charcoal again. Bun's out of the oven, not as deflated as you'd feared. Well, that's good to hear. Well, but let them cool for a bit, because that usually deflates pastries a little. Threat or promise? Por qué no los dos? What was this? 2 blocks? Yep. Okay. 1, 2. Well, not doing those ones because the ground is way too messed up. So the inspiration of these wall sections is kind of... There's 4 statues in the rotunda of St. Peter's. And they form flat walls where they are. So it's kind of an homage to that, because you can't really pass behind it, but, you know. The idea is there. It's also a good way to get XP. Which we will need to do the enchanting. Statues of what or who? It's 4 people. I think one is Veronica. I know one is Longinus, and I don't remember who the other 2 are, but they're very pretty and very dynamic. Let's take a layer of dirt with us. Let's just fill in this side really quickly, since this is kind of our test wall. I really need to move this model out of the way so I can actually build. Longinus is the soldier who speared Christ in the side and regained his sight and became a believer. Now here's a question. I guess it doesn't matter yet. It doesn't matter on that layer. But on these layers, do I want this to be sandstone in the middle, or do I want it to be more birchwood? I think I want it to be sandstone. So I think that kind of standing in between the two. No, I don't want that actually. Maybe I do want it to be birch. Yeah, I think I want it to be birch. There's an awesome graphic novel where Longinus wanders the earth as immortal and fights Nazi zombies and Nephilim in World War II. The Light Brigade? I need to read this. That sounds amazing. You think they're going to do the Final Fantasy X MTG set a physical release? Oh yeah. That's absolutely getting a physical release. I've already seen the packaging for it. The boosters are only 7 cards each, which of course has everyone up in a tizzy, but you know, it's the internet. Yeah, I think the thing that has most people upset is it's not like a draftable set. Because I think price-wise, it is still just like I could be wrong, but maybe it's priced to, like it's a 7-card booster rather than a 15-card booster. But, you know, people are like, oh, we want to draft it. And it's like, it's only like a 40-card set. It's mostly legendaries, like... It wasn't designed to be drafted. You can put it in your cubes, though. It'll be fine. Do we know what know what's in the set out of curiosity? I I think it's mostly 7 because, let's face it, they know it sells. But spoiler season hasn't started on it yet, so we don't know everything. Just the few teasers where it's like, oh, look at the cloud, and look at the Sephiroth and the Tifa. What happened to EGC? So because it was... I've been having some trouble getting that and Meep to trigger properly. I have to do some investigating, but in the meantime, I'm not gonna let folks, spend their points on something that they can't get. So I had to send those both, sadly, on a little vacation for now. But I'm working on figuring out what went wrong and seeing if I can get it to work again. So this is kind of how the wall's coming along. I like how this is coming along. And then we'll probably just do the glass in the middle here, in between these. Yeah, just the emote for now. Just the emote. Throw that all in there. You must let MacPack know that the lawsuit versus GEC was successful. Time to pay up, MacPack. It's snowing there. Happy spring! Oh, come on! Why did you guys have to put a hive on this new tree? Now I can't cut it down. High of 38 with 25 miles an hour wind. And you're still going out. Well, more power to you, I suppose. Oops. If it's below 50 degrees, you have to bribe yourself to leave home. Mediterranean living, I suppose. Well, I suppose you're not really on the Mediterranean, but still. Still, just the thought of going out in that weather and that wind and exercising in it. You love weird weather? you love a good rain ride, but you know, more power to you, I suppose. But probably wise to not go out when it's, you know, there's lightning. I've seen her in combat. She can kick your butt. Hey, Happy Cynic. Good to see ya. K-Max does go hard. That is a nice, succinct way to put it. Yep, don't forget your boots and gloves. That would be bad. Oh, I don't know why I was reminded of this, but so we have at Busted Halo, we have a contact us page, and I help answer those various questions that come in. And of course, it's a forum on the internet, so we get spam. Even though we do our best to filter it out, sometimes it still gets in. We got spam today in Romanian, trying to sell us a beach home. It's like, well, I have never seen that one before. Oh, bad raiders, bad pillagers, bad, naughty, no, go away. Yeah, what do you listen to when you're biking, K-Max? Are you a podcast kind of guy? Are you a music kind of guy? I no-noed that one out of existence. Yes, I did. Well, that'll learn him a lesson. Ah! His friend found me! I did not ask for this! You attacked me first. You know you're successful when you attract spam from diverse languages. That's fair. It's dangerous to do headphones and bike. That's fair. That is a reasonable thing. You started from your kids? Well, you know, he did start it. How crafts the mind? They are very crafty today. We're continuing. We're actually building the wall of the church today, finally. We've laid out its foundation. We still need to level out its flooring area. So it should be this one. Over 2. A cornerstone? Everything's a cornerstone. Do you have a Jesus for a Reese's? You hate auto. Do I have Jesus for a cornerstone? I don't know how that happened in autocorrect, but sure. You know, we haven't actually made an intentional cornerstone. Maybe we'll do that at some point. You know, maybe we'll just use like a smooth pink. It's not quartz. It's not marble. I forget what it is. Maybe we'll just put one of those on the corner. Someone really likes Reese's. I mean, it is the season, I guess, for Reese's eggs. One, two, three, four. And now I'm out of the birch logs. That might be a harder resource than the sandstone, honestly. You hate Reese's all to pieces. But what about Reese's Pieces? I like chocolate and peanut butter, but I don't really like Reese's, mostly because I don't think it's very good quality. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lurking out your PC. See you later, KMax. Thank you for the raid. Hope you have a good bike ride. You do not like them, Sam. I am. I'm not Sam. I'm Father Evan. I think it's more ride with the wind at this point. Hey, good to see you, Catholic Brit. How are you today? Okay, so we've got this. We've got the basic pattern of the wall set on one side. I don't know what we're going to do on the 3 apses yet in terms of transmitting this pattern. I'll burn that bridge when I get to it. For now, I do not like them. Evan M. Heaven. That works. For now, I kind of want to transfer this to the front. So let's see how tall it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay. So it's 25. So this is up at height 99, 100, I guess. Probably 98. Yeah, 98. So 98 minus 25 is 73. So the curve will start about here-ish. So that's where that piece goes. Okay. Your pastor's always making cheesy jokes. You call him priest now. That's terrible. I'm doing well, Britt. How about yourself? That is a terrible joke. I love it. Where did I put that scaffolding? There it is. I don't need to make it that tall. So hold on. 1, 2, 3. Why did that go to 26 that time? You know, we're just going to build this, and we're going to find out what happens. And we'll deal with that problem later. Because worst case scenario, if I'm too low, what I can do is I can just add a second layer to this below, and that's... I kind of want to make it too thick anyway. For when we get to it, so... I did not count out how many tall this piece is alone. I need to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so that's 14. I should have gone up one more. I'm just going to go into creative really quickly and just pop that. So this is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're only at 3, so we need to place 11 more. Oh, wrong mode. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There we go. Okay, and then it's just a diagonal pattern up. 2, 3, and 4. And we'll do 2 over there because that's how long it needs to be in the end anyway. Okay, let's see something really quickly. If I line up this block headwise. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Guys, you doing well? You're wildly stressed? Oh no! I hope things are getting better. Got an article, less than an hour work. Oof. That is rough. So I'm currently at 94. I need this whole thing to go up by like 3, I guess. And you know what? I'm just going to do that in creative really quickly because we've already proven what it is. And like just the thought of moving is just, ugh. We will build the rest of this in standard, but just to test this to make sure it's at the right height. I'm just going to do it in creative really quickly. Because we already did the proof of concept that it's... So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Why does this not look centered all of a sudden? I guess it is. Okay, so now being at this height, yeah, it looks like, so we'll add another ring down below on that, but actually still stress out too. Oh no! Got a rejection email yesterday for your latest manuscript. I provide constructive criticism though. That's, well, at least they provided constructive criticism, and I hope it was good and helpful criticism. But it's always rough to get a rejection email on your writing. That was the Research Intensive Project too. Oof. Yep. I think that's the right attitude. Make it an opportunity. But that's still rough. Especially after knowing how much work you put into that and the amount of research and everything. That's just, ugh. I'm sorry. Oh, hey, there's a horse out there. Hey, Squirrelich, thank you for the gifted sub to Catholic Brit. Catholic Brit, give Squirrelich big ol' thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Why does that feel off? Because it is off. It's off by 2. And getting rejected on Monday of Holy Week really stung. Oof. Yeah. Not the day you want to have it happen. Okay, now I'm 1 off by being too low. So that's kind of what the facade of the church is going to look like. Guess actually I should do this. Then we'll do the flying buttresses in a moment. Although I might wind up doing the flying buttresses in a different color, like a different brick, but for now this is just so I can clear this out. So from 3 down goes 2, 2, 1, 1. Okay. The thing I don't like about scaffolding is you can't do the shift hold thing. Because if you hold shift, you go down on the scaffolding. No, that would be a great time. What's your question, Squirrelich? Let's not fall off to an untimely demise. That would be bad. Hmm. So 2, 1. Okay, I see which ones I need to remove. I got confused working from the inside. Your city is very small, very roughly only 1,000 people in it. Asked the city what food pantries there were, and they all tied to Protestant churches. Was it in any way bad that I gave them food as opposed to my Catholic church that's in another city 30 minutes away? No, not at all. I think that's great. Yes, our Protestant brothers and sisters, there is a level of separation, but it doesn't mean that there is a devoid relationship. They are still our brothers and sisters in Christ through baptism and still doing good things. And so if that is the resource that is available to support, by all means, yeah, no, it is still a good and noble and worthy thing to do. It'd be good to have some Catholic representation in your city, but if it's just financially, give my church food, only money, yeah. Again, if that resource is not there tied to a particular faith organization, that does not mean there are not other options that exist. The greatest command is to love your neighbor. Well, to love God with all your heart. And the second is like it, to love your neighbor. And if that is the means by which you love your neighbor, even if it's a church that you're not in full communion with, they're still doing good and Christian things. So it's still good and commendable. And I think a great sign of the cooperation that we can provide in the body of Christ, even if separated by communion, we can still love and serve those in our neighborhood, in our communities in need. So I hope that helps to answer your question. It's a good question. You'd say that X is preaching right now, but Father Evan indeed does preach. It's true. I am literally paid to preach. I enjoy preaching. It's a beautiful ministry. Am I the best at it? Nope. Your food pantry's run by 6 different denominations. Yeah, that's a great way to work together. And that's, an important reminder of we do believe in the common good in Catholic social teaching. And Jesus prayed in the Last Supper. Well, not the Last Supper, but was it the Last? I guess it was the Last Supper. Yeah, Unum Sint is the Latin title. It's actually the title of a papal encyclical on interreligious and ecumenical dialogue. Yeah, that when the churches cooperate to help the poor is a great witness to the efficacy of Jesus' prayer and the reality of the efficacy of us as the body of Christ through baptism. So, yeah. Yeah, no, it was a great question. Thank you for asking that. And yeah, the Catholic Church, you mentioned solving things at the local level. The church also upholds the value of what we call subsidiarity. The church wants things solved at the appropriate level. There are things that need to be solved at sort of international or national levels, but there's a lot too that we could just be like, hey, let's just no, don't do that. Don't do that scaffolding. That's exactly what the church is. No, the church says, hey, we don't need this to go higher or to go to the Pope or to a civil authority. Like, you have the means and the ability. That's why that's screwed up. Okay. You've been meaning to ask that for a minute now. Can't wait on your conscious tiny bit. Glad it's cleared up. There you go. I'm doing well, and thank you for that gift sub to Catholic Brit earlier. I'm excited for Holy Week, and honestly, it's gonna be kind of a really easy Holy Week for me because I'm not preaching or presiding at any of the main services. I'm presiding at Tenebrae, but I don't even have to preach that. It's just preside at it and say the prayers and be prayerful, which is beautiful. I just kind of get to sit back and take it all in. It's the first time in years that I haven't had to do much of anything out. I'm excited for the Easter Vigil. We get to because there's just so many, because we have 12 baptisms and 22 confirmations. We're helping share the load of the confirmations. Your parish isn't... Well, you should come into the city. Come to our Tenebrae Mesozoic Mind. I know that's a long distance, so I'm not actually expecting you to do that. It's actually my first time presiding at Tenebrae. Tenebrae is a form of prayer that... There's a couple different ways of doing it. It used to be combined, like, morning prayer and night prayer, or it was 2 hours of the office combined. Now it's typically just like a series of readings and psalms, but there's you have a candelabra with 7 candles, and you kind of dramatically extinguish them one by one after each prayer and reading. Yeah, we've kind of got everything on Good Friday because we have stations, 7 last words, the service at 3, and then Tenebrae. So we're kind of doing all of it. Yeah, the Liturgy of Shadows. It's a great name too, Liturgy of Shadows. Yeah, it's kind of a prayerful meditation on Christ in the tomb, remembering his death in a particular way. I need more food. I need to figure out some food source. Kind of mysterious. You can see that name in an RPG somewhere. I bet it has been used in an RPG, actually. If I had to guess. In fact, I feel like I saw something like Tenebrae in Final Fantasy XIV when I was like just doing some research on it. It does sound like a great name for a Castlevania game. Tenebrae is a kingdom in Final Fantasy 15. Let's go! I knew I saw it somewhere. Anyway, this is the Confessio. We're going to have like a lapis lazuli tomb down here. First follow-up question on Google is, why is Tenebrae on fire? Because it's lit. Okay, we're going to go back to the main base and figure out a food source. But this is coming together, and I do like... I want to take a quick look at this. Yeah, I like the front. We're going to move this flying buttress back, ultimately, because, again, it's going to go wherever the wood is. But for the sake of seeing the front of the church, I think that's pretty darn cool looking. What I should also do is establish a nether portal connection to Step Zero's base to facilitate fast travel, especially to the desert. But I'll probably do that off camera. Because I will keep working on this, I think. But I don't want to finish it. I want to finish it on camera for sure. But, you know, I think resource collection and just building up the base of the walls, that sort of thing I can do off camera. Hello? Hello, I would like... How much do I do a game off camera, if guess on average? Probably not a ton. Like, I do some... Mostly I do, like, mining, just 'cause, like, you know, staring at a wall and doing that is not the most exciting thing. But, you know, to get diamonds and whatnot. The other... Oh. I think the server may have crashed. Oh, Kit's internet went out. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, so that explains a few things. So, hold on one moment. We're gonna have to switch modes so we can go into Jens's server. Which actually, to answer your question, Squirrel Edge, I actually found myself spending more time in Jens's server off camera. But, you know, I'll probably... any given month I do Minecraft. If I do 2 hours a week on camera, I'll probably be doing 1 to 4 hours off camera as well. Oh well, I have more Minecraft. And I can show you the other church I'm working on, because that's what I do in Minecraft. I make churches. So this is this is a Byzantine church. What's interesting about it is it's all 16. So like this circle and the dome is 16 blocks. The height from here to the end of the apse is 16. It's 16 wide. And I'm going to do all 4 of the apses in lapis lazuli, along with blue banners hanging to kind of evoke... Because like in particularly Russian styles, although it's not unique to them, you'll see icons painted on all the walls. And in the Russian style, they'll often do blue as a background. So I'm going to do that kind of along this part to evoke the idea of icons. And then I have the iconostasis here with the altar area. And I'm quite proud of how these turned out. These are called Rapidion. They're fans. Any religious significance to number 16? Nope. Not that I know of. I mean, 4 times 4, I suppose. But I just did it because I thought that was a nice size for the main dome. And at that point, it was like, well, why not? And it's a Greek cross, so why not even numbers all the way around? Anyway, the Rapidion are like a liturgical fan that are used in processions. They're basically like gold discs, and this was the closest way I could imagine making them in Minecraft is an apple on a frame. So when you look at it, it kind of looks like the golden disc. Yes, a nice even number. A fan, but extra pastes. Basically. Well, it's interesting because it's one of those things where, like, historically, it started because, you know, there are flies in the church, so how do you keep them away? Well, you have a fan near the altar, and you have a server just constantly twirling it to keep the flies away, and as that kind of grows and evolves over time, it becomes sort of normalized and just becomes a part of the liturgy. Your brother serves a Byzantine Divine Liturgy on Sundays sometimes. It's beautiful. It absolutely is. But anyway, yeah, so this is what I'm working on in Jens's server. What do I need to do next for it? I need more lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli, lapis lazuli? I don't know which one it is. Both sound good. And you're back on the internet. Yay! However, I doubt the server will be back up immediately because that will take some work. But I have my tiny hovel of a home. Server is fine. It was the router. Well, at this point, look at the time. I'm just going to finish out on Jens's. I have my axolotls. I made this little terrarium. Well, not aquarium, I guess, for them. They're so happy. You don't think you've ever seen a Byzantine church or know a Byzantine Catholic in person? That's fair. They're not... It really can be a very regional thing to where, especially in America, depending on where the immigrants community landed. So like Ohio is actually a major hub outside of Cleveland. So we'll go this way. We're going to go cave exploring to see if we can find some lapis lazuli. Yeah, Parma, Ohio. Here in the tri-state area, there are a few. Yeah, well, especially in New Jersey, there's quite a few. Big old dripstone cave. Ohio just seems a strange choice. Good farmland. It was cheap. Can't say a whole lot if those showed up in the middle of the country, at least from personal experience. Yeah, that is fair. It happens. Iron, which is nice, but I have a good amount of iron, so I don't feel like I need to collect that right now. Very dark down there. This past summer, your brother and you attended a Maronite Catholic service in upstate New York. Very nice. Maronite liturgy is beautiful. I once had the opportunity to attend Holy Qurbana presided by the Maronite Patriarch, His Eminence Al-Rahi. That was a cool experience. Yeah, I've seen some Westboro Baptist Church protests in person. That's an American experience. Yeah, they primarily use Arabic because they're from Lebanon, but the institution narrative is done in Aramaic, which is the dialect of Hebrew that Christ probably spoke. They also do this beautiful thing. Can Maronite priests preside in the Roman Catholic Church if they have the faculties? It's not uncommon for Eastern Rite priests in the U.S. to have bi-ritual faculties, so they can cover and preside at neighboring parishes. Oh, that's a lot of creepers. But in the Maronite Church, they have this really beautiful thing that at the epiclesis, the invocation of the Holy Spirit in the Eucharistic prayer, they'll flutter their hands in a circle over the gifts, symbolizing the sort of the bird-like nature and symbolism of the Holy Spirit. Ooh, gunpowder. I think the priest I used to work for was both raised in a Maronite parish. Yep. That's a lot of lava. So they get permission like a visiting priest in a parish? Not exactly. They do need that sort of canonical permission because that's just like a safe environment thing. But they actually need to be essentially licensed to celebrate any priest needs to be licensed to celebrate in a rite outside of his own normal one. So it would be less of a permission of a one-off event and rather more like a permanent granting of ability and status. No, it is very rare for Roman priests to get bi-ritual faculties. It's very common for Eastern to get Western, but because of the prevalence of Western Rite, hello. But it's far more uncommon the other way around. It kind of has to be done intentionally, seeking permission, application. There's even like a formation period, essentially. A name tag. I can name a sheep Jeb. Okay, I'm out of torches, so I kind of want to back on out. You know, some Augustinian canons who are bi-ritual. Yeah, it's not impossible by any means, but I would say it's just far more common for East to have Western faculties than West to have Eastern faculties. At least in America. You know, maybe somewhere in a nation where the Eastern Rite is predominant, it would be the other way around, but this is not the way out. Anyway, this is granite. This smoothing up some of this is what I'm thinking of doing a cornerstone of at the church in the other server. That's actually the second time I have found a mini dungeon, like those little rooms with a spawner. It's the second one I found in my claim. Yeah, it's the auto fisher. I need to just leave my computer running, doing the AFK fishing thing here. Oh, my sword's almost broken. Let's get that fixed by replacing it. That's kind of perfect. It's not a ton of torches, but it'll do for now. It's just good to have some on hand. For now, I'm going to go name a sheep Jeb. Oh, actually, I should probably take my shears with me to get some wool while I'm at it. Where are they? I need to organize my stuff. Oh, they're up there. Okay. Oh, I thought it was sunset. That was sunrise. My sheep are Yenzela's. They're the communal sheep. Our king is gracious enough to let us shear their sheep. There's my shears. Oh, and Duke of Pizza, who is also a priest, made this train station to connect to my base to get to his. Seems pretty fitting to let a shepherd tend to his flock. Hey, hey. Good one, Squirrelage. So that building there is Jens's house. She found cherry trees, which are very lovely. Oh no, oh shoot, I forgot you have to name a name tag first and then apply it to the animal. I'm pretty sure Yenza has an anvil. How much administrative business do I have to get up to in my day-to-day? It can vary. Fortunately, as an associate, not a ton. But, you know, not zero either. You know, especially with, like, marriage cases. Hey, Jeb. And now Jeb's fur or wool will always be multicolored, except that it always shears off as white. Jeb or Riot. Yeah, you know, I think there's some general administrative stuff, which, you know, it comes with the territory. Like, I have to manage my schedule and look over what I've been assigned to and sort of that self-administrative role. Each one you name Jeb will do that thing. So you need a name tag for each of them. But now whenever we look at Jeb, there's Jeb. Jeb's name will appear. Let me go, sheep. Dinnerbone is also pretty funny. I don't remember what Dinnerbone does. What does that name do? I know Jeb will turn an Iron Guardian upside down as well. If Dinnerbone flips the animals upside down, nice. I just want to leave a magical multicolored sheep for Yenza to find. Unfortunately, I'm also out of blue dye, which is what I need. I can make it with lapis, but I don't want to use up my lapis to do that. Maybe... Let me see if I can get any blue flowers here. I said, let me see if I can get any blue flowers. Is indigo a thing? I don't think so. Someone come yell at my computer to copy this giant file faster. Freeze computer, do the thing, but the faster. Sorry, that's the best I can do at this distance. I don't think indigo is a thing. I could be wrong, though, because they keep adding colors and things. Wow, nothing. Say a prayer to get the indigo. Dear God, I would love Mojang to include indigo as a color in Minecraft. Love, Father Evan. Oh, thank you, thank you. You're, as your humble mayor of New Goofy Gooberton, I am quite humbled by the results of that. It was a lot of fun to be on the show again, and just really fun prompts, and I think we had a great night. Great team. And I think having a slide whistle helped. Although I think the doing the kazoo with Never Gonna Give You Up was way bigger of a hit than I expected. You have a bot, where's your kazoo? It is coming in 4 to 6. She's fast at camp, it's a super old computer. Has 30 minutes left on copying. Oof, that is rough. That is rough. I am sorry. Oof. Who's the patron saint of computers? I think Saint Isidore of Seville is the patron saint of the internet, so I guess him by extension. Oh, look at the fox! Look at the Arctic fox. It's so cute. But it doesn't have blue flowers. The average Goth viewer is probably in their 20s, so rickrolling. So you all understand. Exactly. I play well to the crowd. I'm surprised the Bruno one got 0 votes. I'm not surprised it didn't win that round, but I'm surprised it got 0. But, you know, can't win them all. Unless you're me, because I won literally every round of that game except for that one. Which I don't know what I did, to be honest. I had a lot of fun, but I don't know what I did that was so right on most of the answers. But again, it was just fun to be on Goff, and, you know, Blake and Jacob and Yuha are great contestants. So it's super fun to just be on them. P. Tony stopped boycotting Disney, so that's probably where I went wrong. Yeah. I am the voice of the opposition, though. So we'll just go back to base here, and I think that's where we're going to call it for the day. I think we made some really good progress on the other church. I want to replace these with Dark Oak, but I haven't found Dark Oak on this server yet. So yeah, I think that's a good place to call it. So thank you so much for everyone for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. It's been so good to have you all today. Thank you to everyone who's liked, followed, subscribed. Reminder, we are 9 followers away from the bonus stream of SNES Madness. It should be a lot of fun to do. And unfortunately, next week, I can start accepting bits for candy again. And boy, howdy, do I have some terrible candy. So look forward to that next week. But on Monday, we will be doing more Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic with the extended time now, 1:30 to 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. Tuesday, we will be doing Super Mario 64, and Thursday, we will be doing Headliner Nova News. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to all of that. Should be a good time. So again, yeah, thank you to everyone who's liked, followed, joined the Discord, all that good jazz. Why don't we see who's live to go raid? Bree is playing in San Aquarium. I remember that game fondly. We're raiding Bree.
That's not how he said.
All right, take care and God bless.